Welcome inside Shot Callers Esports for a particularly spooky episode because it's Friday the 13th, and that's spooky. So be extra careful today. You never know what's going to happen on a Friday the 13th. Something that might never happen to you or something that seems out of the ordinary. Just don't tempt fate.
Probably death.
Well, you never know. I've seen a lot of Final Destination movies, and some crazy stuff can happen in this.
Shouldn't watch those. Those are scary.
Yeah, they're very scary. Very poorly acted, too.
That's okay.
Yeah.
As long as they scream when the car gets crushed by a bulldozer.
Well, they play a pre-recorded scream, and they open their mouth.
Yeah.
So, pretty good in that
Pretty
sense.
sick.
Day 2 of Worlds, or not day 2, day 2 of week 2 of Worlds. They had a tough act to follow up, did Group C, after Group B put on some kind of show to kick off week 2. Pretty much every game ended up having pretty significant meaning behind it. Heading in to day 2 for Group C, RNG 3-0, Samsung 2-1, G2 1-2, and 1907 Fenerbahce eSports 0-3, fourth in that group. The first game of the day had some high implications, much like it did the day before in Group B. It was G2 taking on RNG, and I mean, pretty much a must-win for G2.
Yeah, I mean, if RNG wins this game, it's basically over.
G2, goodbye.
Yeah, and the group's basically all wrapped up. So G2 really needs a win to keep their hopes alive.
Yeah, and make the other games in this group have some more meaning. And RNG looking fantastic after the first week, so tough road for G2, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely a tough road, but right away, it's Trick going up to that top lane, taking down Let Me. The cats didn't really catch that, so on the replay, Let Me already didn't have flash in the situation, just recalling the bush, expecting to know he was there. And then Trick comes in, probably didn't have to flash,
Yeah.
but still secure that kill, get first blood. Yeah,
and anytime you're getting a Cho'Gath ahead, that's pretty terrifying. That's the 4th straight game G2 got first blood, by the way.
And very impressive. And then Perks with the roam down bottom. This is going to be a super nice play with Trick coming in as well. Gonna flash that Jana Tornado and blow up Ming for Ming's first death of the tournament.
Wow, feeder.
And then Uzi falls down right after. Good start.
Yeah, I mean, G2's had a good start in a lot of these games, and they do again here. And really just being proactive around the map. And look at that prediction by Trick. Oh,
beautiful.
That's nice.
Beautiful. Yeah, MLXG goes down, they'll turn into a Rift Herald. And then they keep the aggression going, even though they, RNG totally knows they're there. It doesn't matter. Trick just dives them, takes it down Ming right away so we can't get the RN sensor. Get it out of here. No shields, no nothing.
Lead.
And yeah, G2's up massively, around 11K.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned how great RNG looked, but G2 was just giving it to them early on in this game and really just pushing forward their lead. I mean, look at this gold lead so early on, 10-2 in kills, and they're diving with no fear. Sven unstoppable. There's the emote, which didn't go so well last time against RNG.
No, it didn't, but this time, that gold lead was enough to eventually take this game down. Just hitting that Nexus, get it down to 0 HP. This is the final fight of the game. Expect eating another tree. Delicious.
That's a big Poro.
Yeah, it's a big Poro.
That is terrifying, and that's also a very big Cho'Gath. G2 happy to take down RNG, of course, and hand them their first loss at Worlds. That was just a super clean, well-played game for G2. Really no stumbles once they got out to that early lead. Just a clean closeout, which is what we were seeing RNG do to teams in the first week. So very impressive start for G2, and their hopes are still alive in that group.
Yeah, they're at 2-2. I mean, they're still going to have to win some more games, but you started with a win against RNG. That's excellent for you and your chances against Samsung, because RNG looked pretty unstoppable up to this point, but then they were exposed by G2 just there. So, and again, 4 straight first bloods for G2. So their early game is on point. It's just if they could close it out, and they did this morning against RNG.
Yeah, but again, that pretty much changes a lot of the implications for the games to follow in this group, because G2's still alive, only 1 game behind RNG, and Samsung and Fenerbahce. Second game of the day. Sorry, 1907.
Yeah, get it right. What are you doing?
Maybe if they upset anyone, that completely changes the complexion of the group. But I mean, Samsung didn't look that great in week 1, but Fenerbahce, they're still Fenerbahce. And there's another Malzahar.
Second Malzahar sighting there. Good to see. Little mix-up in the chance select, along with another Jana. Wow, I haven't seen one of those before.
Look at all the Void champions here. Cho'Gath, Kha'Zix, Malzahar on one team. And then 2 on the others. Fenerbahce playing aggressive early on. They get the first blood on the Kassadin. Frozen gets going. That would probably be as close as they got.
Yeah, and then he doesn't get going, gets caught out in the river. Ambition jumps in, Crown ults him with that Malzahar, and down he goes. And then a big dragon fight comes in. Samsung takes the Infernal, and then they're just going to go at it for a little while. And keep your eye on Padden in this team fight.
Yeah, I really thought he could have turned this fight around, but he just keeps whacking the Cho'Gath throughout. He goes, gets the flash on Ambition. Hit Ruler! Don't hit the Cho'Gath, hit the Xayah! No!
Because eventually it's the Xayah that turns this fight all the way around, pouring out damage pretty free for the entire thing as Padden hits the tanks or nobody.
He does get the Cho'Gath though. But I mean, look at how fed Ruler is, doing some insane damage. Not really sure what Crash was doing there.
Nope.
Just trying to get some vision. And the massive gentleman Cho'Gath walking around in fast speed is absolutely amazing.
It really is. And eventually, after screwing around in the jungle for a little bit, they would go to the Baron with Crash still down, secure that, and Samsung up. Pretty significant gold lead. Wouldn't take them too much longer to close this one out over 1907 Fenerbahce. You don't want to get sued, obviously.
Of course not. And you notice that was another missed smite. There were a lot of those.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those in these tournaments, not necessarily resulting in steals, but yeah, there's Xayah. Flash the emote by Ruler. Samsung, pretty convincing win. They moved to 3-1. 1907 Fenerbahce 0-4. Japone, not too happy about that one.
Feels
but
bad.
I mean, from the LCK, they're pretty good. This
Here we go.
is a big game. If G2 wins this, I mean, they're tied with Samsung,
Yeah.
and they could be heading to a tiebreaker, or RNG beats them off later. They're going in as the 2nd seed, so huge game. Twitch, Lulu, Kog'Maw, Janna. Wow, never seen those before.
No, that's pretty rare, but the trick bringing up the Zac is pretty interesting, and G2 again gets off to a pretty good start. Perks on this rise. He's shown time and time again how good he is on it, and he just does not stop the chase on Ambition and that Kha'Zix. Flash snare, couple Qs to finish it off, and that's going to be another first blood. 5 straight.
5 games in a row, first blood for G2. Really solid at getting out to these early starts, and that is going to be a whiff on the Zac ult by Trick. He actually wasn't that bad on the Zac in this game, but I think Crown's Galio was running amok in this game, and you see Mithy going down there. Sven, he's in a bit of trouble.
He definitely is, and Perks tries to come around the backside to log up a couple kills, but that Galio is pretty tanky. Going to be tough to take down. Eventually, Perks is going to have to ult out of here and leave his buddy Trick for dead, who
See ya, pal.
Taken down by Cuva and that Cho'Gath.
Yeah, there were a lot of fights where it seemed like Perks just was on the outside alive and just couldn't do enough damage to carry some of these fights. And there's Sven, face checking a bush.
Hey, that's not
God
what
bless.
you want to do. You know they're in there. You probably shouldn't walk in, especially by yourself, into that Galio taunt. Not a good look whatsoever. So Sven goes down, and now Samsung knocking at G2's door with a big gold lead. Trick's engaged, kind of gets pushed back, and then here goes Ruler on that Twitch, pouring out all kinds of damage.
Yeah, and it's just, I think Sven made a couple of questionable plays in this game as the Kog'Maw, and yeah, story again for Samsung is Ruler popping off, getting very fed on these hyper carry champions. It did take a while. There's Trick, or not Trick, excuse me, Perks with a nice flash to take down Ruler. He looked really solid on this rise. Samsung did take a while to work through this game.
Oh, and that was a devastating Elder Dragon there. You do it in the face of Cho'Gath, he walks up, eats it, and then again, really fast Cho'Gath. Entertaining to watch, and eventually this will be the last fight with that Elder Dragon in hand. The Twitch hitting everybody with the spray and pay, with the 4 elemental drakes on as well. So this Elder is massive.
Yeah,
and that's all it's gonna be. G2 now pretty much done.
They're not out.
It's very.
They're not out. They're not out. 4-1, 2-4. It's tough. It's a little tough. Actually, they might be out after that.
I'm pretty sure that was.
I think they're out. I was wrong. They're gone.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
gone.
G2.
See ya.
You had a very good chance there, though. So this game, I mean, there is implications for RNG. They want to win this to get that top seed. 580 carry bans. So Uzi says, okay, I'll play Vayne. Uh-oh.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, you ban all those champs, and Uzi still has his pocket pick left over.
Yeah.
And he looked pretty good, but it was...
in lane, they didn't look so hot
early on. Fenerbahce got the things going against Ming, who's dying again.
This guy's just feeding his face off now.
Awful. But then Uzi Gonna clean it up with the help of MLXG on that Sejuani.
Oh, you don't want to get a kill on the Vayne that early. Don't want to get her rolling because Vayne, obviously not great in lane, but still terrifying late game. More action in the bottom lane, of course.
Oh, always action in the bot lane. A nice flash taunt there from Xiaohu. And again, RNG Let Me comes down, uses that skillful R, and then Uzi with yet another kill on the Vayne, so he's going to be rolling.
Yeah, they leave the kill for him, and then there's a team fight in the mid lane. RNG gets the turret with the Rift Herald, and that just goes right into a team fight for them. Uzi getting zoned for a lot of this fight, has to deal with the Maokai, but team fight wins without him. Eventually he finds Padden, and you know he's thirsty for that kill.
Oh, Uzi is never going to run away from a chance to kill somebody, so there he goes. And then Padden gives him a nice exit.
Too. Oh, no. Yeah, and that was pretty much the story. Uzi gets rolling on the Vayne. RNG got out to a pretty early lead, and Uzi just wants kills. He's going deep for them. I mean, look at this team comp around him. Anytime you've got Lulu, stuff like that on the Vayne, it's going to be pretty tough to do anything, and they win 4-1. Uzi, again, another solid performance. This guy's got a pretty deep champion pool.
Yeah, and he's looked fantastic this tournament. But we have another Fenerbahce game. This one completely meaningless, so Perk's going to keep his promise.
Bring out the Yasuo. I'm a little surprised 1907 Fenerbahce didn't have a little bit more of a troll team comp as well, because, yeah, this game, basically no implications in this one.
I think they just wanted to get a win. Make it a 1-5.
That's fair enough. But yeah, the story of this one was the Yasuo, and Perks was doing a little bit of work early on. Level 3 here, and you know he's going to go for that all-in.
Of course, and Trick comes in for the
Trick
assist, kind of, just by getting the E buff, and he goes down to kill.
He's just resetting the double buffs so that they can get it later, I suppose. But early on, I mean, Fenerbahce was being the active team. Here they are sitting on the Baron. Trick tries to go in for the steal. Look how low that Baron got.
He smited so early.
The smites have been bad in this tournament. Fenerbahce gets that, and they had a pretty substantial lead early on, but we're struggling to crack G2's base.
Yeah, and I mean, it took a long time. G2 was down for a while, but eventually the Yasuo started doing a lot of work, and he's just going so aggressive, eating through everybody, and he'd eventually finish off the entire Fenerbahce team, even though Thaldrin and Crash limp away.
Yeah, they limp away, but they got it. Look how many inhibs are down for G2 in this game. They were streaming super minions, but later on after that, Trick gets the engage on Fenerbahce. Flash in for expect. You love seeing flash feasts. Very, very well played. Nice QSS by Padden to get out, but I mean, he is a man against an army right now. Triple kill for Sven. Look at how big that Cho'Gath is.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do as it just done in that situation. And G2, they get that win, 3-3, but they're very emotional after this game.
Yeah, and you can tell their last game of the tournament, and just based on this and what some guys were tweeting afterwards, you're getting the feeling that it might be the last game that these guys play together as a roster. Perks, clearly emotional in this one. Sven was as well. Who knows what's going on for the future with this team. We'll get more into the future of G2 later on in the show here. But yeah, these guys clearly emotional after that win. But the important thing is Yasuo gets a win.
Yeah, screw the emotions. Yasuo won, everybody. So who cares about anything else? But yeah, I mean, obviously we'll touch on it after we get through the rest of the games. But if you're G2, future's kind of unclear, and these guys are just showing that, you know, this might be it for them in their roster, and also they're disappointed in their results this Worlds. I mean, everyone was looking for them to move on, and they did kind of get screwed by this incredibly tough group, the hardest one of the 4. And I mean, if they were a number 2 seed out of Europe, they'd have a better chance moving on. So this whole number 1 pool thing worked against them in this case, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it really is just the luck of the Worlds group draw. That's basically what it comes down to. But yeah, we'll dive more so into G2. There's one game left on the day, and it actually had pretty high implications. RNG versus Samsung. The winner takes first in the group, and you definitely want first over second to avoid some first round matchups against an LCK squad.
Yeah, this time you want first, but you don't want first when you're qualifying for Worlds.
That's
because you get screwed like G2.
Yeah, it varies, you know.
Yeah, of course. But look, Lee Sin. Lee Sin setting for MLXG. That suits his playstyle, get aggressive. And RNG's going to be diving all over the place. Again, Galio
Also,
for Xiaohu.
And a Kummel
Yeah.
on Cuvée. So a couple interesting picks here, but you got to take the Q when it lands.
Always.
A pretty aggressive dive. He ends up dying, but they do trade back the kill on Ruler eventually.
Eventually.
This was just a mess of a start for the first couple kills here. Crown eventually comes in. Uzi, nice flash over, but Crown's coming. But look out.
So
Get the Gromp aggro.
Yeah. And then Crown scores a flash. RNG's able to get out of this odd situation. Not too bad off. I mean, Ming drops again from 0 deaths to all. Come on, this guy.
Yeah, seriously. Nice flash here by Uzi. And Samsung got out to the early lead in this one, but this team fight really turned it around for RNG. You get the nice flash engaged by Xiaohu, which catches out Ruler. He goes down to Xiaohu, eventually picks him up, and then, yeah, Uzi, nice jump onto Kummel, who's he does take down Ming again, but they're pretty much left on their own. That would turn into a couple of turrets for RNG, and that got them rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, once this team starts to get going, it's tough to stop them. We'll take this Baron down without too much contest. Pretty close, and then Tristana takes another missed smite.
Oh my God. That is the theme. These guys, it's random people taking these Barons, but you see Ambition stuck in there. Nice equalizer there by Let Me. There goes Ruler again, who's the main guy. Uzi, the one more auto. He did the walk away before he died.
Oh, the old walk away always backfires. But yeah, still a great Baron pickup for RNG, even though it barely came down to the Tristana picking up, and then Crown goes down on the other side of the map while RNG starts to push with that Baron buff on. They take a couple inhibs down and just keep blasting Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, once they got that lead, once they got that Baron after that fight in the mid lane, I mean, they just really accelerated this game. Uzi Goomba stomping his way around on that Tristana, and I mean, they looked pretty clean after that. It did take them a little while in the base. They were hanging out, you know, bringing all the minions, and then eventually they do get to close it out. They move to 5-1 in the group, and RNG take first in that group, and the hometown Chinese crowds were loving that one.
Oh, there were all kind of those signs lighting up. Woo, it said Uzi. Wow, that's pretty creative.
Some of them say woo. That's pretty good as well.
Woo. Woo, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, China got RNG as a #1 seed coming out of groups. Definitely a big deal for them because they won't be facing a Korean team, very likely. SKT, Longzhu, gonna avoid those. So they'll get one of those weaker teams. And right now, they have a chance of drawing Fnatic, which would be the dream.
Yeah, I mean, unless SKT somehow goes like 1-2 or 0-3, and C9 has an amazing week 2, which definitely is not happening. Yeah, they're going to avoid all 3 Korean teams and have as easy a path as they could to get to the semis. So RNG, despite not being from the LCK, is a team you definitely don't want to be playing in the knockout round because they look good.
They do look good, especially against Samsung. This is the main competition in the group, and they
2-0.
took care of them. Yeah, 2-0. There wasn't too much competition in some of these games. I mean, this one was very close for probably 26 minutes, but as soon as they got that advantage, it took them like 5 minutes to close it out, which is incredibly quick. And I think you got to start banning Galio almost every game against these guys because it just lets you be so aggressive. Then the Galio comes in from wherever he is with that damage reduction and the knockup. It's just such a big crowd control thing, and I think it suits RNG's playstyle so well. So that should be taken away.
Yeah, anytime they have these massive front lines that Uzi can just sit behind and pick his spots, when to jump in, when to play aggressively, they are pretty dangerous because, yeah, their AD carry is playing out of his mind, and it's a perfect meta for him. Basically, whoever's AD carry is performing super well is going to have a pretty solid performance at this Worlds we've seen because of these shields and all these buffs and the tanks. As long as you're not getting one-shot by Cho'Gath, it's hard to go down.
Yeah, and I think this week, teams started to realize that we should be focusing these supports. You get that Janna out of there right away, so you can't provide these shields. The Ardent Sensor buff goes out the window. You can't use your ult to disengage. I think teams are finally starting to realize how to play around this meta a bit more. You focus that support, all of a sudden your peel for the AD carry is pretty much gone.
Yeah. Now, Samsung come out of the group 4-2. I mean, they're definitely looking, I know SKT hasn't played in week 2 yet, but they are looking like the weakest Korean team. They've definitely got some weaknesses teams can expose, and they are the 3rd seed from the LCK, so that makes sense. But, I mean, you're still probably worried to play them as a 1 seed heading into quarterfinals. I mean, whoever comes out of Group D, you don't think your reward for getting first in a group is to play a Korean team anyway.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal situation. But it also sets up a couple all-Korean quarterfinals, which would be get some competition out of here.
Yeah.
You know, get Samsung out of the way. But yeah, if you're another team that has to draw Samsung, you're just like, oh, man, that's a team from the LCK. What are they doing in a tier 2 spot?
But again, they don't look...
They're beatable. They're beatable. RNG
beatable.
showed that you can beat them 2-0. And G2 had a couple of close contests. Fenerbahce had close contests with Samsung. So, yeah, they're not playing clean. They're notoriously slow starters to get some time to get rolling. So you can exploit them. They're beatable.
Yeah, they basically didn't have a completely dominant stomp game in any of the group stage, which you would expect when you've got, no offense, 1907 Fenerbahce, who did finish 0-6. Not great, but I mean, look at the group they got put in. I mean, that is pretty rough for them. So, not surprising they finished 0-6. We'll see if Flash Wolves and EDG join them in that 0-6 club. I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. I remember going back to Fenerbahce. This was a team that beat Team 1 in that best of 5 to advance into this Worlds tournament. So they got the easy draw, and I mean, no disrespect. And they had some decent games at Worlds. They put up some good performances and couldn't come up with a W, but I'm not sure that they were the most worthy team to make it to this World stage, and you kind of showed that they were outclassed in a tough group, of course. So
yeah, I mean, going from Team 1 to Samsung, RNG, G2, it's a little bit different.
But yeah, I don't expect. I think EDG and Flash will both pick up a win, maybe wins, and it'll really change the outlook of what Group D and Group A have in store because, you know, you kind of just expect those teams that don't have wins to stay that way. But Fnatic showed that that's not the case, and you can still make it out of groups with a good second week. So even just one win in Group D changes the entire outlook for the whole three-way tie they have going on.
Yeah, and I think Group D and A, much like today, if Fenerbahce took off pretty much any game from someone, it could hold implications in these groups. I think Flash Wolves and EDG are a little more likely to win, take a game off pretty much anyone than Fenerbahce. 1907, Fenerbahce.
Cool.
All right, we got to get to G2.
We got to get to G2.
Now, we'll see how roasted they get for not getting out of groups again. But, I mean, this was so rough for them, the group draw. Last year, they just played poorly. They should have gotten out of that group. No excuses, blah, blah, blah. They should have gotten out. This year, I mean, you put them in any of the other 3 groups and switch them out with whatever Western teams in there, they get out, I think. I think they're getting out as a 2nd seed in Group A instead of Cloud9. I think they're getting out of the 2nd seed in Group B, like Fnatic did. And I think they're getting out as maybe the top seed in Group D if they're there instead of Misfits. So they really just got screwed over in that group, and they didn't look that bad.
No,
in a lot of these games, they had a dominant win over RNG, which no one else in that group could beat. They played a super close game against them the first time, which they really probably should have won if not for a questionable Baron call. And they played a couple close games against Samsung, and I'm not going to talk about 1907 Fenerbahce. But, I mean, it's tough for them. But they don't deserve to get flamed and roasted and toasted after this.
No, they don't. It was a good performance for G2 at Worlds. Again, it wasn't 1-5. And in pretty much every game, they came up to these good starts. You saw them with these first bloods pretty much every game.
Yeah.
In that last game, did they get first blood too? I can't remember.
They did.
So it was every single game.
The Yasuo outplay.
That's right. So again, something you didn't see in Europe from these guys was that ability to start off fantastically. But all of a sudden, in this tournament, they made these changes and they got first blood in every game, every single game. And I mean, sure they did struggle to close out some of these contests, but again, the RNG game was so clean. And I know they struggled against Samsung and whatnot, but I would take it easy on these guys because this was a good performance. And again, in any other group, they were getting it, for sure.
Yeah, and now the big question mark with them is you saw how emotional they were after their last game. And you've got to think it's because this is the last time this roster is playing together. You saw some tweets afterwards from both Perks and Trick that heavily hinted that they were not going to be together again. It kind of seems like Trick is the guy who's going to, at least Trick is the guy who's going to be not on the team going forward. So heading into what's going to be an absolutely insane offseason, the most insane offseason in League of Legends competitive history.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. What is going to happen with G2?
I mean, yeah, as you said, it looks like Trick is going to be the guy who's not staying, whatever the reason. I know he had some homesickness issues previously in his career. I don't know if that's part of the case. His contract's probably just expiring, and maybe G2 doesn't want to bring him back on. Or maybe they're really looking at this NA franchising thing, and they're trying to make the switch over, in which case they can't bring all 5 of their players over, which includes Trick, and they're going to have to make some tough choices on which 2 guys they want to bring over to fill those import slots, assuming that that's how this whole franchising situation continues to work for teams that are coming from other regions. Because I know G2 is still in the running for one of those franchise spots. So you saw tears from Perks, from Sven, and if that's because they're not going to be playing with Trick anymore, or this whole roster might get abolished potentially, then it's definitely unfortunate because they've been champs in Europe for 2 years.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to think that a 4-time, 4 in a row,
Yeah.
4 in a row time EU LCS championship team is going to just run off to NA. If that happens, I mean, the EU LCS is dead. It's dead. I don't know what Ryan's doing with that, but this team's definitely going to be different, which is a shame because they have been that dominant domestically. They had a great performance at MSI. And again, I think they had a pretty solid performance at this Worlds. I mean, that's probably 2 of the top 4 teams, right? At Worlds in Samsung and RNG.
Yeah.
And you got them both in your group. People didn't know what they're expecting of RNG, but they definitely look like a top team. So it's just the luck of the draw again, and it's sad to see that this team will go.
Yeah, it seems like G2 finally shook those international woes now with back-to-back tournaments, MSI, 2nd place, and then World's 3-3 record in a tough group. That's still an achievement. So I think this roster was finally starting to come together as a unit and just play really well. I know they had struggles in the summer split in Europe and at Rift Rivals, but put that aside, and they've been showing time and time again they can come back from turmoil and put together strong performances after those times of weakness. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see this roster stay together, but obviously it looks very unlikely. At least Trick is probably heading out somewhere else. For what reason, I do not know yet, but we will see, whether it's franchising or just moving on.
Yeah, we'll see if, depending how much they change, if they can be like TSM, where pretty much they can recycle an entire roster minus Bjergsen, and they're still going to be at the top of the NA standings. Really, G2 hasn't gone through many changes in their organization's history. It's basically been that bot lane, who was basically the best bot lane in EU coming over, so that's going to help. And they changed their top laners, bringing in Expect. I mean, that's pretty much it.
That's it.
And that's been over, a 2-year run. So we'll see what is to come for the Kings of Europe. Be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, best of luck to G2 because they might need some help. But who knows? Again, there's just so much unknown right now with this whole NALCS franchising, what teams are going, what teams aren't. Does G2 want to go? Obviously they do because they applied for it and they're still in the running.
Where the money's at.
That's where the money's at. So we'll see where G2's headed and what the roster looks like in 2018. But for now, they are done.
They are done. But there is still a Worlds tournament on.
Yeah, it's still going.
In case you guys forgot. So we still got 2 groups left. 4 of the 8 quarterfinalists are established. Group D goes tomorrow, which that is a spicy one. You got the 3-way tie for first between World Elite, Misfits, and TSM, all at 2-1. You know Flash Wolves is going to beat somebody. I think that day is going to be a little more interesting and hectic, chaotic than it was today.
Give me those tiebreakers. There's at least one coming probably, so we'll see what's going on there. But yeah, the day starts off with Misfits against Flash Wolves. And then
again, that's the first game where if Flash
every
Wolves
game
wins
is good.
that.
Every game is good. Every game means something.
Yeah.
There's none of these scenarios. Like, in these first 2 days of Group B and C, like, if the first team, like, the very first game, if this team won, the whole group is basically locked up.
You could basically put any combination of matchups in that first game, and it's going to be super important because whichever 2-1 team's playing is either going to put the pressure on everyone else and go to 3-1, or just get knocked down a peg and be like, oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, now it's up to you guys. So that'll be very interesting. And then, of course, Group A goes on Sunday. The final group, so we've got 1 EU team through, Fnatic off their magical run, 1 NA team out, and 1 EU team out.
That's right.
So the Western hopes will maybe be answered tomorrow. If 2 Western teams get out, I feel like World Elite will probably get through. But
yeah, who knows? It could be a TSM Misfits showing, which would be interesting, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I might bet on it.
Would you?
It'd be very interesting. I mean, RNG stealing all the spotlight. Everyone's forgotten about World Elite, you know?
It's true.
But we, unfortunately, will not be doing shows for those days because it is Saturday and Sunday. And Matt and I, we do stuff on weekends.
You could have worded that several different ways that sounded better than that, but yes.
Yeah, that one sounded pretty good to me.
Okay, go for it.
But we'll be back on Monday for a little bit of Get Boosted, where we'll go over all the group stage action, specifically week 2, and kind of, look at the teams that got through, see if it was the teams that we think should have gotten through, or if there's some crazy upsets that happened over the weekend. Immortals, shout out. Hope you guys are enjoying being back in North America. Are they back yet? Probably.
I mean, they denied interviews probably just because they had a very quick plane coming up, right?
Yeah. Would you hang out? Would you hang out and watch the rest of the tournament?
I'd be pretty salty.
So no?
I don't know.
I mean, you're already in China. Enjoy a little vacation.
Sad vacation.
Yeah, that's one way to get over sorrow.
Sorrow, yeah.
Is a vacation.
I guess so.
I would probably hang out. So Immortals are still in China, probably hanging out. Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about the Immortals. Probably talking about our next show, which is on Monday.
That's right.
At 3 p.m. We're breaking all that stuff down.
And then Wednesday, quarterfinals preview.
Wednesday, we'll be previewing those quarterfinals. There's going to be some exciting matchups. Maybe an all LCK matchup. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty likely.
Yeah, you could draw either.
Yeah.
A or B. Assuming SKT gets first, which is a pretty bold assumption. Pretty bold assumption.
I don't know.
Yeah, but so we'll be seeing you guys Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the last 2 groups, week 2 of Worlds. Eric Kummel, Matt Hempstead. We'll see you guys on Monday.